hope you all enjoyed that conversation with the women of Education is Power. Since we filmed at Daraja, we've worked together in formulating a storyboard, editing footage, and now in publicizing the final product.
Through COVID, we all met virtually on late night Zoom calls and continued to revise our vision until it was something that we could truly be proud of. Now, we've finally been able to come together with our final product under the name, the Daraja Effect Collective.
We're now excited to move on to our live panel and answer any questions that you may have about the film or about us as filmmakers. Please enter any questions or comments you have into the Q&A.
The questions are coming in. Audience, isn't it amazing to reflect that that film was made by first-time filmmakers who are teenagers? It's amazing what we can do when we're truly inspired. So here's a question. What did the opportunity to travel to Daraja and to meet the girls mean to you?
I can take that one. So even though Daraja had been in my life for years, it was still a bit of a distant concept to me. The most contact I'd have was, running bake sales in California. So I remember the first moment that we got to campus, we were welcomed with hundreds of hugs and open arms. And those hugs really did make the purpose of those fundraisers and bake sales real. We couldn't have come from more different backgrounds, but being at Daraja and getting to eat meals with them in the cafeteria and talking with the girls about the similarities and our differences in our lives made us realize that we weren't as far apart as we thought.
Beautiful reflection. How did making the film influence the trip itself?
Yeah, so filming a documentary really influenced the trip in many positive ways. One significant part is when we were interviewing each of the girls, they kind of opened up to us more and we got to learn more about each of the girls' lives. And being able to ask them deep questions and showing interest in their lives allowed us to hear their stories and dig deeper into how much of a positive impact that Daraja Academy makes. And the post-production process was also really enjoyable because when we came back from the trip and started to sift through all the footage we gathered, we were able to look back at everything we filmed and just rewatching random B-roll clips or interviews kind of jogged my memory, and I was able to relive old experiences I had with the girls. And it was like I was at Daraja Academy again.
What was your initial goal with the film, and how has this goal evolved?
Yeah, I can answer that one too. Personally, our goal with the film was to raise awareness about how education isn't available to many girls in other countries and how Daraja is working to change that. And our overall goal was to convey to the viewers how big of an impact Daraja makes in each of the students' lives and in the surrounding community. And we really tried to hone in on Daraja and have the students as our main focus so the viewers can see how much of an impact Daraja has. And we also wanted to make the film feel like you could get an idea of the daily activities the girls have and what it's like to be on campus. So hopefully the viewers felt like they've been transported to Daraja Academy and are actually with the girls.
What was the filmmaking process like?
I can take this question. The filmmaking process was incredible. Through it, we were able to learn more about how Daraja changes the lives of hundreds of young women and how the opinions of community members who, before learning about Daraja, didn't believe in women's education had changed because of the school. People were glad to share their stories with us because they strongly believed in women's education and thought that through this documentary, they could help others learn about its importance as well. And though it was difficult at times to not only be visitors at the school, but also cinematographers, I think it added a really valuable layer to our experience.
What was the post-production part like?
I can answer that one. The post-production process was a much larger part of the filmmaking experience than I had originally anticipated it would be. We spent weeks just learning new skills on editing software, and we made so many versions of our storyboard until we finally became satisfied with our choice. Luckily, we were able to accomplish the bulk of the work before COVID, which was mainly just sorting through footage and choosing the path we wanted our film to take. Things became a lot more complicated when COVID started, and lots of our filming group ended up going off to college, and our meetings had to become virtual, but we were luckily able to create our polished film through a lot of Zoom meetings.
It's true. How did the lens of race and your reflections on it shape your filmmaking process?
Yeah, so it was definitely important to consider throughout every step of the filmmaking process, and we tried to keep the topic of race in mind and be conscious of how it influenced our project. A major asset of our team, the Daraja Effect, is that we're made up of a group of girls from a variety of backgrounds, so that provided some valuable insight on, not only the topic of race, but also the undeniable socioeconomic difference between our group and the students we support. And, that difference is precisely why we're so passionate about fundraising for the Daraja girls. But ultimately, we decided that our goal with the film was to make sure that our final product told the girls' experiences about education in their own words, and we didn't want to talk over them or take any time away from them. So we actually ended up taking ourselves out of the film as much as possible, because this really is their story to tell.
Did the story you feel you shot evolve unexpectedly during the post-production process?
The final story came into actuality after we were reviewing the footage back home. And the direction of the story you see today is the result of what the Daraja students chose to share, which is why I think the most important scenes in the film are the interviews of the students themselves. So I think the overarching story we wanted to show has always been consistent to highlight the Daraja students, but the details evolved over the course of many months. So for example, we wanted a balance of scene setting shots, the beautiful campus, and one very important scene, the shot of the chair that's left empty as a reminder of all of the girls who don't get a spot at Daraja, was actually edited at the very end of the process. It was added at the end.
Do you feel you created the story that you set out to tell?
I feel like we did succeed in telling the story of the Daraja girls like we wanted to. We always wanted to highlight the amazing impact that the school has and the ways in which these incredible girls are able to reach their goals through that. Hearing them talk about how strong they've become is exactly what we always wanted to show other people. And I'm really happy that we were able to actually capture that on film.
What do you hope the viewers take away from watching the film?
Personally, I hope that the viewers can better comprehend the Daraja effect, which is how Daraja profoundly changes the lives of not only every student, but also their families and entire communities.
Yeah, during the editing process, the Daraja effect kind of became our shorthand for the proverb that Clara mentioned. When you educate a girl, you educate the world. And to us, that really is the power of education, especially when you educate women.
How can our viewers tonight get involved and help support Daraja?
You can definitely support Daraja by going to the website, which is just daraja.org, to support Daraja. And we'll also be sending out information about how to share the film and host viewing events. So definitely be on the lookout for that.
Well, it looks like we have time for maybe one or two more questions. So here's a really good one. So we have, Is there anything that you experienced or saw during your visit to Daraja that changed your perspective or something about the way you saw yourself or your life? Um, well, if I can just answer this question personally, I think really getting to go to Daraja and seeing it in person, interacting with the students, interacting with the staff, and really the whole community, it really came into picture how many people it takes to kind of uplift this school and make it all happen. Sometimes as volunteers over here in the United States, specifically in high schools in California, that little kind of vision can get lost and we're not as grounded, but definitely going over there and kind of witnessing there is this school here, here are the girls, here are their stories, and hearing it directly from them, I think definitely, if anything, changed kind of my perspective on not only the filmmaking process, but also like the impact that this film could be and how big it could reach. So it looks like here's one more question that we have. Will your experience with Daraja Academy influence your future and or your career? I think I can say for all of us, Daraja Academy, this organization will always be with us. It will always have the most amazing effect and positive effect on all of our lives. I've been so lucky to be a part of Daraja since I was a freshman in high school. So now, this being my 7th year involved with Daraja, I'm now a senior in college. So definitely not only the things that Daraja promotes and Daraja teaches, but also just their founding values and the idea that we want to leave the world better than we leave it, and that the way that we found it. And so definitely Daraja will be with all of us forever. I'll pass this on to maybe one other person who would like to close off with an answer to this question as well.
Yeah, I can add a little bit more. So personally, I've really taken the theme of women's empowerment from all my work with Daraja with me, and not necessarily. I don't think I'll be involved with film, but I would really like to explore different fields where women are underrepresented, or just continue my work advocating for women's empowerment. So currently I'm headed in the more women in mathematics direction, but there are so many underlying themes and layers to women's empowerment in our work in film and supporting Daraja. So yeah.
Ooh, and here's another really great question that somebody can answer. So we have, how did your trip to Kenya change you? I think I can start us off a little bit. So I think that my trip to Kenya definitely had the most amazing impact on myself personally. I come from a family of educators, but only education in the US. So getting to go to another country and seeing how that education system works and how that differs, but also has a lot of similarities with ours, I think was very helpful in not only preparing me to be a better citizen of this world, but also to be on the same level as these girls and making sure that when we were coming into this space, that we were being respectful and making sure that we were voicing their stories and they were the highlight of this film, because that was kind of a lot of the training that we had going into this documentary was how can we visit this space and make sure that we're really uplifting the Daraja girls and sharing their story and their messages, because at the end of the day, I would say we were there to kind of help this process, but they really were the stars. They were the ones that have so much to teach us, and we're just so happy that we were able to put it into this film that is now out there in the world with these amazing messages.
I think just to echo off of Anisa's statement, like she mentioned, we've been involved in Daraja for 7 years, which I realized added up amounts to a third of our life, which in itself is such an incredible accomplishment. And so I think the culmination of that journey really added to the meaning for me personally. And just being able to actually meet these girls and create such incredible, tangible friendships was so incredible to me. And being able to sit next to them and beside them and hear their stories directly from them, not just from letters or blurbs from the website, made it all so much more real to me and really grounded my own perspective as I went into the film.
Well, thank you so much for all of your amazing, not only questions, but also comments. We got a lot of great, good ones. And I will bring it back to my best friend, Jordan Holman.
Thank you, Anais. So from all of us, from the bottom of our heart, we just cannot thank you enough, first and foremost, for this opportunity of a lifetime and for your continued support of Daraja and our filmmaking efforts. We are so grateful that you've taken the time to watch this documentary come to life and to listen to the brilliant young women at Daraja Academy. It's been an honor to work alongside such remarkable individuals, our peers, colleagues, and friends, and to create this experience with them. We'd also like to recognize those who are not able to speak tonight that are also part of the Daraja Effect Collective: Sophia Caligari, Katie Joyce, Julia Hag, Chloe Krashnoff, and Lexi Santos. And lastly, we extend our utmost gratitude to Jenny and Jason Doherty, Smith Patrick, Omi Chamsapur, Joanne Parson, Bethany Hardy, Courtney Barton, Gira Tate, and the team at the California Film Institute. And lastly, the incredible staff and students at Daraja Academy. We are so grateful. To learn more about Daraja, please visit daraja.org. And we thank you so, so much for coming out tonight.